And welcome back, folks. This is episode 75 of the Wet Shavers Roundtable. My name is Douglas Smythe from Phoenix Shaving. And with me today, I have, let's see. I have Scott Ostermiller, who I believe is below me. Say hi, Scott.
Hey, everybody. How's it going?
The clean shaver himself. And to, I think, the other side, we have Mantic 59, Mark Harrow.
Howdy.
Of the Sharpologist fame. And to my right, but probably left on playback, is Mr. Stan Hickam from Above the Tie. Welcome to the show, Stan.
Thanks for having me.
The man himself.
It's great to have you back. And since our last time, I mean, Above the Tie has had so many just extraordinary releases that I can't even keep up anymore. And that's why we're having you on the show. We're also having you on the show because we have the Big Shave West 3 coming up. And you're going to be a part of that, we hope, this year. It sounds like you're 95% there already, right, Stan?
Yeah, I think we're pretty close to being there. Yeah.
Awesome. That's what we want to hear. So you're our first.
I sometimes have a thing about saying things in absolutes, but that's very likely we'll be there.
Yes. So many do this these days. But no, that's great. So you're our first Big Shave West vendor then, or artisan, or razor maker, if you will, on the show this year. So it's great to have you on board. And we have so much to talk about, including the Big Shave West. And something you might want to hear about is we're going to be doing awards this year, kind of like the Grammys or the Oscars or something like that, but for wet shaving. So people get to choose their best razor maker or their favorite razor maker, soap maker, so on and so forth. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and we definitely want to get you on the ballot for that.
Okay, well, thanks. If I win anything, it'll probably be some sort of
shaving product.
Best candidate who stood behind the door and held it open for me.
The Modesty Award. So let's start right from the top, Stan. What is going on? How was 2016, the rest of 2016 and 2017 looking for Above the Tie?
Well, 2016 was a good year, and we did roll out some new things. I have to kind of think about this stuff because it's kind of like just a continuous flow.
Yeah.
To kind of think it through. But in 2016, we came out with our first single edge razor, the Bamboo SE1, and it was a very good seller. And it's a little different. I thought, well, the handles are kind of pretty traditional looking that we have, and so I was deviating a little bit, and so I wanted to make a bamboo type of handle. People have different plays on that or variations of it. So I wanted to have a handle that was a little different. By the same token, the rims that stick out the farthest need to be the same size so they'd fit in the Inco stand okay.
Sure.
And but another one of the reasons I was thinking about a bamboo style handle was I wanted to reduce some of the weight of the razor because the artisan style, the blade's wide, of course, and so it makes the head wide, and of course it adds weight. And when I was working on the head, I was playing with some different ideas on how to make it thinner, which would make it weigh less. Mm-hmm. And one of the things, I don't know if you guys have used them or not, but the way our SE is made, the cap actually recesses down in the cap a little bit.
Right.
To
kind of hopefully a little thinner, a little sandwich sort of thing going on. And so again, the handle is a way of trying to reduce some weight as well.
Right.
And it was very popular. It has been very popular. It was a great seller for us. And and of course you get the different handles in it. So if you some people want less weight, and other people can't have enough weight. So if you want bigger, you get the
that guy down there.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah, take a piece of railroad rail, right, and make your handle.
Oh yeah.
But,
it's ridiculous.
So it worked really well. Very, very proud of that one. And
you should be.
It was the first time we did anything but SE, and And so we followed that up with, as you know, the SC2, which is an open comb. And that's probably something people might want to have a little bit more information about. Initially, the first version of that open comb has a relatively small comb, and the blade angle, gap, if you want to call it that, was basically the same as the SC1. But for an open comb configuration, you can get a different experience from it.
Sure.
Right.
But in this particular instance, it didn't really seem to be that different, and so I was getting customer feedback saying that, hey, it's a nice razor, but it's really not significantly different than the SE1. So I thought, well, I guess we need to change that. So went back to the drawing board and I guess you'd say made another version. So the SE2 that is on the market now actually has a longer comb and a more aggressive angle. So it is more aggressive than the SE1. And again, the thinking there and based on the feedback we got from customers was they wanted more differentiation. And so that's what we did.
So
we delivered
that. With the SE2, I'm guessing it still uses the same top cap as the SE1. It's just the base plate was elongated and readjusted to do that.
Right. The angle, the tilt of the blades, what changes. There's a little facet there that, well, I don't say too much, but that's where the angle has changed. So the degree alteration occurs there.
Okay.
So really, all of our any sort of changes in our razors is almost always the base. All the caps remain unchanged. The only difference in caps is if it's a slant. Of course, that cap has to be a little different. But the actual variation on the degree of aggressiveness comes from the base plate. People will hold them up and look at them, so they look the same. There's no difference in this, but actually there is.
Right. You just can't really detect it. It's just that the slug in the center that's either going to be higher or lower. That's the.
Well, and I guess that makes sense because all the R1, the H1, the M1, they all use the same top cap. It's just the base plate is different. So I guess that makes total sense.
Yeah, there's a facet that runs the length of the base plate, and that little facet is that's where the angle change occurs. So if the naked eye looking at it, you probably can't tell any difference.
Right. That's right. And then we have the aluminum too. The aluminum razors that just came out.
We're really
tell us a little about that. Tell us more about those.
Well, actually, our R1's went on back order today, so that's kind of how that's going. So we're really excited about that. And when we were talking about this last year, in fact, brought it again. We kind of rolled this out because this is our first kind of
beautiful
look with an aluminum razor. And as you guys saw, I brought that to Big Shave West too.
Yes.
Some feedback from people, and it was very positive. And so started did a little research about getting this made, and Doug can probably relate to this because when it comes to anytime you try to make something different, there's always seems to be roadblocks that you have to overcome. And so in this instance, I had to work with someone else to do the aluminum razor because the issue came with the anodizing of applying the color of the razor. Because as you guys know, aluminum has to be coated in one way or the other. It can't, even if it's clear coat, it has to have something on it, otherwise it starts to break down.
Yeah.
So here's the next trial handle. I don't know if you can tell that much about it, but it's kind of answers some questions we had from a lot of customers. A lot of people kept asking, I really like the Atlas handle, the look of the barber pole, very classic Gillette sort of look. But a lot of people say, I wish it was a little bigger. I wish it was the size of the Chronos. The Atlas is 3 inches. The Chronos is 3.5. Colossus 4 inches. And so I got that comment enough times. I thought, well, I'll synthesize those ideas and thoughts into this particular razor. And so this is a 3.5 inch handle, just like the Chronos, but it has the Atlas barber pole styling to it. So again, that's kind of a response to customer input. And so what finally came out of it, well, before I do that, let me just say, when you're get the razor made, you got to decide the color you want it to be. It could be clear coat. And that was the first thing I went with, the clear coat, because I kind of like the look. But I found out that actually clear coat really isn't clear. Clear coat actually has a tint to it. And so so they sent me a sample, and all I can say is it's pretty sad. It was just, and I ain't going to cut it, And you've been talking to it. Oh, I want it to be clear coat. And that is a clear coat. And I said, well, okay, so much. Okay, I'll take your word for it. So back to the drawing board. And so I said, well, send me. I looked at some colors, and so send me some samples, and what's what we're going to do. And they said, oh yeah. And so they picked out a real nice, or I thought was a real nice color. And it just goes to show that you don't always, what you see isn't always what you get. So it's a nice warm red color I was looking at, and it turned out to be this. I don't know if you can see that, but it's kind of red, purple, kind of, and it's like, man,
it keeps changing color when you move it.
Psychedelic thing going on there.
Yeah.
I
thought that was me for a second.
I had some comments, but I keep them to myself. But
one of those flashbacks to the '60s.
I just there's a lot of material you work with there. A lot of things.
Yeah, I was -6, I think, then. But go on.
That's far out, man.
Yeah.
So we chose a really nice blue color, to see how that was going to look, and that turned out to be this. So it actually kind of looks blue in that light, but a lot of times it looks kind of black. So I don't like those either.
Right.
And so to make a long story short, we got through this, and I got the color splotches and set them all out and cut them out little pieces of paper and put them on top of others and add a little bit more to that in a moment. But here's the final product. Is this one here, and it's
beautiful.
It's actually called it's called medical gray. Even though I don't know how exactly gray that is, but it's a neat color.
Yes.
I hope you guys aren't nauseous, but I thought it looked pretty good. I got a lot of positive feedback, and one of the questions is, well, why did you make it a different color anyway? That's just that's the problem there. And ever since Above the Tie was launched, I always and I hope that you could agree to this. I want our razors to be something that when someone sees it, they know what it is. That it has a certain look to it, a certain
trademark look.
Yes, you know how it is. There's a lot of products you see, and when you see it, you know what it is. You just kind of shape it. And so I wanted something that would carry over that same thing, have a little bit of variation, but still hold true to the Above the Tie look. So as far as shape and everything, I think I was comfortable with that. But I wanted to put color. I wanted to break it up because I think that would be a nice twist on a traditional razor. It gives a little bit more modern look.
Sure.
But at the same time, I had to make sure the colors are going to be something that people would like. And so I hope this is not too nerdy. I hope it's not too boring here. But
no, this is what we want to hear about.
No, not at all.
Usually wave a flag or something, and I'll stop him.
Remember who you're talking to here, Stan. I mean,
yeah, you are on the Web Shavers Roundtable, Stan.
Yeah.
You come home. Yeah.
Well, so I started thinking, well, when everybody knows that when you go to a restaurant, you've read these articles that the colors in certain restaurants are selected to stimulate you to do certain things, and there's this whole world of science based on I don't know if behavior modification might be more strong, but still, it's the idea is certain people tend to react certain ways around certain colors. Light greens are soothing, and warm tones. So it's fast food have bright colors. Get y'all excited, get in, eat, out the door. More higher end restaurants tend to have more muted, softer, more mellow colors. So just relax, take it easy. It's what I mean. Hotel lobbies, kind of like that.
Right.
So did a little research, and so to my surprise, and you guys already know this, there have been a lot of studies on how people respond to colors, what colors they like. And so I found out that, and this is a test to see how good you guys can do this. Because when you start thinking about it, it's pretty obvious. What is the most favorite color in the world?
Blue.
I'd be blue.
Blue.
Sky blue.
And of course, everybody wants to, pontificate on why people like blue. And someone say, I go, the sky's blue, the ocean's blue, blah, blah, blah. It's who knows? I don't know, but as far as somebody write a book about it. But the fact of the matter is, blue is the most universally popular color in the world. Of course, there's variations of blue, of course, but I thought, okay, well, I probably need to work that in there. And then I started looking at other colors, and and by the way, blue is also the most favorite color for men and women.
Right.
Secondary colors, the second most favorite color for women was green, and for men was purple, if I remember correctly. I probably should have looked at it, but I think that was. But so I thought that was kind of interesting how those colors work out. But you walk down a store, I got the, Target or Walmart or whatever, you start looking around, all of a sudden you start seeing those colors on packaging all the time. It's like, okay.
Car ads. They use them in car ads all the time. It's for seating, it pulls you in. But yeah.
Absolutely. What's just interesting, you mentioned that, Douglas, because I was looking at, what other colors. Because sometimes there's what colors do you like? And there's also certain colors that reflect attitudes about things.
Right.
And especially with automobiles. And so what I found out by checking in some of that research was that silver shades, gray shades reflect value.
Right.
And are considered to be more expensive, or more desirable, more luxurious.
Yeah.
And they pointed out that, a lot of upscale automobiles are photographed in silver, for example, sometimes white and in gray. I was surprised that it was white, but they said that white was one of the colors that reflects value.
The interesting thing about white is also it makes things look bigger than what they are, too. Like a white car next to a red car, a white one will look bigger, which is
and it has a very clean look to it as well, and maybe that has something to do with it. So anyway, that's some of the reasoning that went in behind our Calypso razor, the blue and the gray handle. And so when we got it, I liked it, and this may not be very scientific, but basically when I like it, I think other people will like it, and so that's when we throw it out the door. So.
That is science. That's the science I follow. So why Calypso?
Well, you typically think of Calypso as being about boats and all that sort of jazz, but actually Calypso falls into the mythology thing that we've done with.
Okay. I was thinking Calypso music.
And I think that's right. And I was trying to remember off the top of my head. I can't remember that. I think Calypso was a daughter of Poseidon or something like that. Somebody probably jump in. I kind of forgot now what it was.
A demi-goddess or something.
Yeah, but there's a connection.
Right.
Yeah.
Very cool. Now, Stan, I got to ask this question because I have this problem with my anodizers. Because they all kind of stink. They don't tell you while you're paying for the order to get done that they could possibly lose pieces during the process. So when you get your pieces back, you have to count them and realize, then you find out that you're missing 4 or 5. And then when you tell them, they're like, "Oh yeah, that can happen every now and then." And it's like, yeah, but they were $45 pieces. What are you going to do? This has happened to me like 3 times already. Has that happened to you at all?
Actually, at this point, no. I've not come up with any missing pieces. When I'm having stuff made, actually, instead of saying that like you want a certain number, so many hundred of something, it's actually plus or minus 10%. Because what they were, and just especially some machining guys, the stainless steel crowd, they were telling me that it's, we may actually have material left over that we'd like to just continue use up that material. So we don't really want to stop at a certain number necessarily. So we could actually have a few more, or maybe have a little bit less, and so we don't want to get.
Have you ever had more?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Oh,
I usually have more. Yeah.
Oh,
interesting. That doesn't work. It doesn't work like that in Arizona.
Well, they don't. The charge is the same. They don't charge me,
right.
Plus or minus. But yeah, I understand what they're saying as well. If we've got a block of stainless and we can get X number out of it, it just so happens there's enough left over that we make 3 extra.
Yeah.
But we really don't want to just throw that block away. Can we just go ahead and use it? And make 3 more razors? And that's why, of course. And the opposite could be true, but so far it's always been overage. Maybe there's something up there, but
yeah, you're doing something right.
We'll charge him some more here.
Yeah.
Well, there's some interesting questions down here in the questions section here. Les Bonser said, "I prefer the weight of stainless steel, but love the colors of anodized aluminum. Can stainless steel be anodized?"
Stainless steel wouldn't be anodized. There'd be some other processes of doing that, of putting color to them. What starts being a problem with stainless is the cost. When you start plating stainless, there's some and I'm trying to remember the term off the top of my head, but you see a lot of stuff done in the military that is stainless, and it'll have a coating on it. People, it looks like it's painted, but it's really not paint. It's some sort of powdered oxidizing process, and that stuff gets pretty expensive. And you see, that's the problem. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do. You can do it for razor, but the flip side of it, it also comes down to how much is it going to cost you, and how much is somebody's willing to pay for that. We I guess do things a little differently. We do all our stuff here in the U.S., and this is the decision I made, and that's where we are. So that in of itself, and the idea that the fact that things are machined also adds cost to that. But I think it adds a nice value as well. And some people may not. That's okay. Buy something else. But we like to have that machined piece, because to me it's kind of to me it's like comparing a photograph and a painting. And they both can be good. But when you look at a painting, there's brush marks, and to me there's more of someone has worked on this.
Yes.
Someone's hands are on this. Our razors are worked out one at a time. I don't know if people realize it or not. But and I'm not impugning anybody using a different process. I'm just simply saying that we do ours, and that's the way I like it. And one of the things I like to point out is they get machined to get kind of buffed up and all that sort of thing. But if you look under the cap, and do this on purpose, and people have different opinions about it, but when you look at the underside of our caps, you can actually see the machining mark.
Right.
Yeah.
Circular.
And I do that on purpose. I really leave it that way because I want people to know it's actually done that way. It's not kind of a mold, and and I remind people it's almost like a signature, or it's brush strokes on a painting. No two are exactly alike. And so when you see that, it's a confirmation you're seeing something that's done a little differently than a lot of things are done today. And again, I'm not criticizing someone who does it in a different manner. I'm just saying that that's the method that we do. And that's I guess maybe that's old school. I don't know. But so far it's worked well for us. And I think there's it
seems natural to me. I do the same thing with my razors.
Well, so theoretically speaking, then somebody could take an above the tie razor that they get machined and then send it off to someone like Delta Echo or North Shore razors or something like that, and have it powder coated, refinished to be a color scheme they like. But
right, I think our customers who would buy them and ship them off with Razor Emporium and they have it.
Yeah.
And I've seen photos of those and where they've been done in rhodium. And I don't know if it's gold or not, but I've seen some in rhodium. And so I assume you have, Matt could explain that in more detail, but I think you have to plate that nickel first and then put the rhodium on the nickel, I suspect.
Oh, we should have had Matt on board too today. We had him last week.
No, just kidding.
Bye, Scott.
Shoot.
Yeah. Sorry to cut you off. Go on, Stan.
Okay. Oh, and just to be fair across the board, I'm sure there's other platers out there that also do a very good job too. So I don't want that to. I don't want so I can cut anybody out or something.
No, somebody's gonna be worried about that.
But Matt does the best work. Okay, Pete. No.
There was
he paid me to say that. Oh, no, I'm supposed to repeat that. Sorry.
There was another question down here that says, first, beautiful stainless steel, next came aluminum. Are there any plans for HET or PAA, for that matter, to come out with a solid or even hollowed out brass line of razors?
I think you were toyed around with that before. Didn't you, Stan? A brass model? Am I making that up?
No, we came out with a bronze.
Yeah.
It's kind of
that's right.
And what you start running into is expense again. The Gillette razors and others from that time period are made out of brass, and it was at that time it was relatively inexpensive to do that. But now brass is actually quite expensive. I mean, it costs more than stainless.
Yeah.
And it's also hard to it's difficult to machine, and what's really challenging is it's a lot of labor to polish that thing down. The bronze sets we were selling, they were all polished, and they hated it. I mean, they were when they started the project. Oh, this is going to be amazing. This is so good. By the time it was over, I said, "Oh, don't ever bring
Never
it.
again."
Yeah. Terrible idea. Yeah. But hey, we had 100 sets. They turned out they were beautiful, and people have them now. So I guess that's enjoyed it. It won't be anymore.
Yeah.
At least from that manufacturer, anyway.
There you go.
Nice.
I've thought about some other materials, but again, it all just comes down to cost.
Yes, and people don't realize. A lot of people. Well, people are getting more hip to it now. But yeah, I mean, to machine anything, I mean, it's like $1 a minute. I mean, it's expensive. You pay for what you get at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Well, Douglas, I'm sure you had experienced the same thing. When you first get into this, you're surprised how expensive every step is.
Every step, from the drawings to the finished product, it's unbelievable. Like after you get the drawings done, you're like, I just paid how much for these? Now you got to get it done. It's like unbelievable.
It's like talking to a lawyer. You call them on the phone, you charge for the phone call. I didn't realize it. Okay, sorry about that. I'll talk less.
Everything. These guys get paid, and they're always willing to do more work for you. They're always willing to work, but it's like, but you're like, gee, I mean, it's a great idea, but I don't know if I can swing it. I'm afraid to do a prototype. Like I have a couple of prototypes I had done, and I had to remind myself after that, like, don't get another prototype done unless you're really going to get it done. So I mean, I had like $1,500 pieces that I'm looking at. One of each that no one will ever see. But from the plans to getting it done, it's unbelievable. And then you moved on to 75 for the aluminum this last was it quarter bubble time.
Yeah, the original prototype, this one here, actually, it's a 6065. And that's
right.
The material they had laying
That's
around.
the one I remember. I remember that one from last year.
But more conversation and more research, and so I thought I'd bump that up, and so it's a term that kind of gets tossed around. Whatever is the official "put your hand on the Bible" phrase, it probably maybe isn't, but people refer to the more to 75 as aircraft grade aluminum.
Right.
It's a stronger material, and it machines nicely. It does really good.
It does, yeah. Yeah,
I was very pleased with how those aluminum razors turned out, because they were the stainless ones are hand they deburred by hand, and these actually were tumbled because of softer material, and it turned out very nice.
That's interesting. So the stainless steel is deburred by hand. I tumble both of mine, the steel and the aluminum, in house. We decided to just deburr stuff ourselves and polish. But why are you hand deburring the stainless? Stan, is there a reason for that?
Well, I think there's some edges that are just hard to get to, especially the solid bars that have the little hose, the vents, so to speak, for capacity.
Right.
So I had, because I had that conversation, and they said, "Well, yeah, we can tumble those things; it'll be fine." And as it turned out, it actually was an added step, and I said, well, "Okay."
Of course, yeah. Yeah, that's exactly why I'm tumbling my own. I was like, I'm going to take care of this part. I'm going to save myself a lot of money doing this. So yeah, we switched to that. And
well, maybe I should send them to you, then. Let you tumble.
Yeah, why not?
Work out something here.
I'm always down for a collaboration of any sort. No, that's wonderful. Mantic, do you have any questions? You have that question. You have that look on your face.
It would be a tough question, I'm telling you.
No, actually, I was just kind of making a humorous thought to myself, as if you wanted a bamboo razor, make it out of bamboo. But anyway, no, actually, I did have one, while you're talking about manufacturing, I did have one observation or turn it into a question in that I've always thought of Above the Tie as sort of the Lexus brand of razors. There seem to be a really exceptional fit and finish. Other razors work fine. I mean, they put together like they're put together, and that's great. But it really seems like Above the Tie brand hardware has a really exceptional fit and finish. And I was wondering, based on what you were just saying about, sending out certain bits for other people to do, and then on the other hand, you say you finish them one at a time. How do you go about keeping up that that certain quality control that seems to be really exceptional for even high-end razors, much less the middle of the pack?
Well, the first part of that answer is that the machine shop I work with does very good quality work to begin with. And the second thing is I'm there often, and I see it being done. We have a family member that reviews a lot of restaurants and things. He's written a number of books and is very well known in that particular thing. And one time we asked him, so what's the secret between a restaurant that works well and one that doesn't? And he said, ownership presence.
Yes.
Yeah. And so that's certainly not to impugn anyone to say that, oh, if you weren't there looking at it, would do a good job. But it makes it different when you're actually there. And what happens is it's not, this has been my experience, is it becomes it's not a you and me, it becomes an us. And they enjoy making them, and they take pride in making them. Yeah. And, in fact, about a week ago, I was at the shop, and one of the workers was scrubbing on some of those handles, and I thought she was going to get on me, because they didn't look as good as they should have. She was really, she was committed, and which is amazing. It's wonderful, because they, like I said, they enjoy making them. To them, it's they obviously like business coming in the door. And they like repeat business. And they've told me, said that you are actually the only person that we make an entire product for. Usually we just make a piece of something that's used on something else. And he said, so you're the only person we make an entire the entire product for, and you're the only person who's ever actually came here and looked at it and saw it and talked to us. And and when I go there, whoever I can run into, we just start talking. And
well, how often do you pop in then? Is it by the week, by the month? What's the kind of the scale of your effort with that? Well,
it depends. It depends on how many orders is running through. It depends on, like, if we're really getting hit pretty hard and a lot of products going out the door. Sometimes, like, I pick up the phone and say, hey, I need some more of these. How far along are you in the run? And our relationship is such that they'll say, well, we're this far along. We can have this many for you, tomorrow. I said, okay, come on and get them. A lot of places won't do that. It's like, well, you put in your order, we'll make our stuff, and don't bother me again until we get done with them. And if we like it, we'll let you know we've got them done. Otherwise, but that's not like that. So we have a good relationship. And
no, you are so right. You're so right, Stan. I went through a bunch of different machinists trying to find the right guy, and the guy I did find, he owned a gun company at one time. He built his own guns, and actually taught me how to shoot. Helped me get my license and so on and so forth. We go out shooting now. So it's about the relationship you build with these, and it totally transfers over to the finished product too. I never even thought about it until you said it, but owner presence, that's a good way of looking at it.
Now, he does not give you silver bullets, no, does he?
Only in the heart, Mark. Only in the heart. I got to shave. That's what he's telling me.
That's funny you say that, Douglas, because the owner of the shop that I work with primarily is working on a handgun himself.
Yes.
And what's interesting about that, I don't know if people give us much thought, but there's a lot of little parts that goes in a handgun, and it has to be, there's a lot of precision.
Yes.
So if someone who's capable of making that, that's probably a pretty good benchmark that they can make a razor for you.
Oh yeah, and there's crossover. Even the knurling and stuff that you see on the razors and stuff that came out of handguns first. Or hand tools, finger tools, but mostly you see that all the handgun designs out there. It's unbelievable how similar it is.
Was it the Colt 911 that had that?
Yeah.
I don't know about firearms to be dangerous, but I'm not an expert, but I know a little about it.
I'm slowly becoming one now that I started having razors made for myself. It's great.
Which is kind of the same sort of thing, because there's so many of them and different variations, and
it's fascinating. It truly is. In Arizona.
To answer your question there, Mantic.
Yes, thank you.
We also
ramble. I don't know if I did it or not. Everybody goes to sleep. I just keep talking.
Oh, no, it's the safest way to do it, Stan. When you ramble, you're going to touch upon it somewhere if you keep going, But we have some questions from the audience down below here. Let's see. What do we got? So someone is asking, okay, this is a great one, actually, Stan. For the noob out there that may have been afraid to ask or may have missed some of these, Alec Garner is asking, what's the difference between the Kronos, the Colossus, Atlas, and the bamboo razors?
Sure, that's a good question. Of course, each name indicates the handle, in the handle design, it actually indicates which razor you're getting. If you get an Atlas R1, it's telling us what handle it is. The R1 tells us what head and plate combination that is. The Atlas is a 3-inch handle. It's our second handle, and it has a spiral barber pole style handle, and it's 3 inches long, which is very similar to a lot of the classic Gillette handles.
Sure.
And that's
Pretty
kind
standard.
of where that mindset.
Great feel too. I love the feel. It's a unique feel because of the swirl too. So it's like it's
and again, it's gonna be a little nerdy here, but the knurling and the spiral on those handles wasn't just happenstance. So we actually had different samples of knurlings, and I told him, I said, I want to feel them. So it's kind of weird, but I remember picking up a piece of meat that's been knurled, and I would hold it in my hand and feel it, and I'd decide which one I liked. Like the standard knurling is like, is it too sharp? Is it not grippy enough? And so the knurling that I chose, if you look carefully on it, it has the cross knurling, and the little piece in the middle is actually has a flat surface to it. It's not spiky, so it has that's it gives it a good grip without it being uncomfortable.
right.
What's interesting about the barber, the spiral, is that certain depth of that cut on that spiral, certain ones of them, it would turn funny in your hand. It wouldn't.
I believe it.
But so the knurling that I set it on was very comfortable.
Yeah.
So,
And it's right there. Like if any less or any more would have changed everything about it. Any more would have cut you. Any less it would have spun out of your hands. It's right in that sweet spot. So well done with that.
I agree.
yeah. So so that was the Chronos, and that is the original handle. That's the first handle that we made. Is 3.5 inches for those who want a little bit more, handle. And of course, as you guys know, Mark can jump in on this. The length of the handle makes a difference in how the razor performs.
Oh yeah.
And also, as you add weight to it, it affects the way it performs as well. And then you get to the Colossus handle, and it's our longest. It's 4 inches long. And just for grins, by the way, the inspiration on that is the super adjustable. The black one. Then it's about 2/3 of the way down. It has that little nickel plated ring. Did you have another, like an inch and a quarter, and it's black. So if you kind of look at that super adjustable handle, and you look at the Colossus, minus the color, you should see some little similarity there.
That is funny. Yeah.
Little connection. And that was on purpose. I kind of used that as a little bit of an inspiration for that handle. Again, it's a longer handle. It's 4 inches handle. So you've got big hands. It's good for you. Again, if you want to add weight, or if you like your hand farther from the razor head, there's a lot of things comes into this. I'm trying not to sound too nerdy about it, but people like different types of handles, and that's what we are. The bamboo is the last handle that we made, and again, I just want to do something different. Thank you. It's 3.5 inches long, the same as the Colossus, and I like that. Some people is concerned that it might be too slick, but it's not. And I think it's because the finish itself is kind of a matte finish.
Right.
It gives you some appropriate grippiness, so it doesn't take off on you. Most of our feedback on that bamboo, by the way, has been very positive. And we had a couple of people that said that was the ugliest thing I've ever seen. You throw that at the stray dog or something.
Well, like constructive criticism. Yeah. We won't talk to them. But so this is the only one that's not named after a titan or a god, right? The bamboo, unless there's a god bamboo that I don't know.
True.
Okay. So just collecting trivia over here. I could use it someday. Did we cover all them? Did we get all the razors? We did.
I think so.
Okay, so that's the end of that question. I have another question for you, Stan. This comes from Les Bonzer, and he asks, I prefer the weight of stainless steel, but love the colors of anodized aluminum. Can the
We
already covered that one. Never mind.
All right. Yeah, those are the two questions, the one from Les and one from Chad.
Okay. Ed Smart. We got one from Ed Smart then. And he's saying, or asking rather, I have the SE1 with the bamboo handle and the additional SE2 base plate. I'm intrigued by the grabbiness, for lack of a better word, of the handle, grippiness, I guess. How do you get away with that? So was he talking about the neural? I think we just covered that, but if you want to add to that.
Yeah, he just answered that.
Yeah. Okay. I'm answering that. So that's it for questions. Now keep those questions coming, folks. Down below is the question box. If you have a question for Stan or anyone else on the panel, we'd be happy to answer them for you.
I'd be curious as to which base plate model. I'm guessing it's probably the R1, but I'd be curious to find out which one is your best seller.
Probably the R1.
Yeah.
The R1.
There, as you can imagine, there's kind of peaks and valleys, but overall, excuse me, but overall, that's our best seller.
Very cool. Very cool.
Two best selling handles is the Atlas handle and the Chronos.
Okay.
Stan, this year at the Big Shave West, I'm doing a lot of newer things this year, aside from the Red Shavers Roundtable, which might only do one of this year, and for the rest of it have like a variety show. We're also going to be having a lot of demos, and that's where you come in. I've been asking everybody out there if they can think of something they'd like to demo at their table, that'd be awesome. It'll just add more to the overall show vibe of the Big Shave West. And so I just want to pose this to you now to give you something to think about next month.
What do you mean demo?
I don't know what you'd be demoing. I'm trying to think, but I mean, like
take a shave air at the table.
Well, believe it or not, there are going to be some people doing that. But I mean, razor-wise, I don't know if there's anything you could do. I mean, if you're hand polish or if you're individually polishing stuff or whatnot, they might want to see that, or at least a step-by-step. You can just have it laid out. Like, I'm going for a science fair type approach for the Big Shave West this year. I don't know what it is, but that's what I'm going. So each table, they could have a snip of like something going on, diorama of what the process is. That'd be really neat too to see, because I mean, it was great seeing the prototypes last year, but the steps to get to that prototype would be really cool to see as well.
Okay, so there's blocks of material here. Here's a
it starts off as a block of material.
Yeah, and then you get down to other pieces there. So.
Yeah, it really puts everything into perspective, like what they're paying for and what they're, where it comes from. I think it's really interesting. It just occurred to me now as we were talking, like, oh yeah, we should definitely have stayed at the table with something. So think about it.
Do that.
No pressure, but it would be. It would add a lot, to value wise. Yeah,
we'll probably do things a little different than last year or so. I mean, we're kind of looking at it a little differently. We brought quite a bit of product last year, so probably we're not going to do that this year.
Oh, well, you haven't heard. This year, we're going to open up sales to people, to the vendors at the table, rather than having to buy stuff at the store. Customers will have two options. Our vendors will have two options. They can sell to the store and sell out of the store, or sell from their table. So if you want to do your own individual sales there, you can do that. Sure, you can. So we got that. It's also going to be like a 1940s type vibe this year too, with pinup girls and yada yada yada. So if you want to bring some pinup girls, I mean, by all means. It's going to be a good time is what it all comes down to.
Sounds to be fun. Yeah, look at me and Matt coming, and we'll do things a little different last year than we did last year, and it's my fault. I didn't. I know Doug knows this. I don't know about the rest of you, but I didn't plan that too well. I just look at the calendar. I would get a flight. Boom, bang, we're done. And we did it all on the same day, and I about passed out. And the Damon, it was having a nice cookout for everybody, and my mom had gotten. Huh? No, that's what I'm getting at. We got up at like at 3:30 in the morning Eastern Standard Time. We're out here on the West Coast, and they're about to pass out.
Oh, right.
We're in a room, and I said, I think I'll just stretch across the bed here for a few minutes. And then it's like, man, I cannot get up here,
Yeah.
And I looked at Matt and said, Damon's got that cookout. We probably need to be going. And,
it was a good time. It was a good time.
By that time, he was over on his bed, and I was on mine. And was like, we can't get up.
Yeah.
We're exhausted. So this year we're going to do it differently. We're going to do like a day in advance,
Oh, so that's smart, because we are doing the little get together the night before also.
Yeah, I hate we missed that. And actually the next day when we were leaving, the lady, we stayed at the Marriott, same place you and Francis did, and we were. I was checking out on the checkout, and the lady said, "Oh, by the way, we're just right down the block here. We're having I think it was a car show. I think it was Lamborghinis or something.
Yeah.
And I said, man, I'll go check that out. And
every year.
Oh, but wait, we got to get on a plane like at 4 a.m. or something. So it was like one of those. So I didn't plan that very well, and it's my fault. I take the gotta take the hit on that one.
Well, live and learn. This year,
it's one of those things you don't know what happened. Man, I've traveled before. I don't know what. It's not like you don't know it, but all of a sudden,
yeah. Especially with the Big Shave West, it's a whole different animal too, because the last couple of years we had no idea what we were doing, so there's no way you could predict what was going to happen. But this year, it's a little more.
Is it still one day?
It's still one day. Yeah, there was talks of doing a 2-day event, but we think just to have it concentrated on one day will be better, a better turnout, just better for everyone involved. So, and plus people can sightsee and whatnot. The rest of the time there. But yeah, we're going to have a little meetup the night before, a little barbecue, which you're invited to, Mantic, as well. Scott, you also are invited. but yeah, we're going to do the barbecue the night before, and then starts the same time. I think it was 10 a.m. We'll open to the public. All-day event. It's going to be, I think, the same length. We might tack on an hour to the event because it seems to go by way too fast. But yeah, we're going to have selling at the booths if people want to do that. More demos, live demos of stuff happening. I'm going to have a cologning demo where you're going to see aftershaves being made, or at least part of the process. There'll be stropping. There'll be a table set for stropping, so people can, there'll be someone working the table, watching people as they strop, so they can pick apart their technique and help them out, help them learn how to strop correctly. There'll be brushes being lathed again this year by Nathan Clark. I don't know if he knows that yet, but he'll be doing that again this year. Straight razors. We're trying to get a straight razor maker in there too to show us part of the process. And there's going to be a whole outdoor scene as well, which we didn't have last year. We did the first year, but it rained, so we didn't. But this year, weather. Well, I think it's not going to rain. I'm almost certain. There'll be food trucks and other tables outside, so it's going to be a whole huge, different animal this year, and I'm super excited about it. Damon and I have been, tossing back and forth emails with different ideas and whatnot. And, we're only 2.5 months out now. We should have it together by now, but we're still building it as we go. So, even last night, he was having me look at stuff. He was like, is this good? I'm like, I don't know. I sent it back to him to rewrite. And, but it's getting there. We're baby stepping. And then the awards. The awards are going to be this whole other piece of the puzzle I think we've been missing. And, looking forward to putting that together. But the thing is, to give away awards, we got to get these things made too. And it's how much time are we going to have to get that done? Yeah. So, but it's the ideal. We're trying to see what happens. We're trying to make it bigger than last year and better than last year, and just an all around hoot for anyone involved.
Right.
I just spoke for 10 minutes.
No, you're good. We have another question down here from Ed Smart. He says, "Is there such a thing as a slant single edge razor?"
Not yet.
Yeah, not yet. But Stan does have a slant open comb, which is pretty unusual.
Yep.
Yeah. As far as I know, we're the only one doing that.
I got a Bakelite slant open comb.
There you go.
Yeah. I think it depends what blade you're going to use for the single edge, because it's tough to torque out depending which one. If it's an injector, that's a little thicker, so you can't get the torque that you would with a thinner blade. So yeah,
that's the thing I've thought about a lot. Is the blade is very narrow and it's stiff, and can it be done? I'm sure it can be done.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the spirit. That's the spirit.
I mean, well, that's how I started this whole thing anyway. How hard could it be? I mean, good grief. 3 pieces of metal. I mean, I worked in healthcare, and I saw some pretty amazing things there. And so I thought, you'd make a razor.
It's so true. Gosh,
it's true.
So I hope that answers your question. Who was asking that? Alex?
That was Ed Smart.
Oh, that was Ed Smart. Okay, Mr. Smart. Okay. We have Les Bumser asking, he's saying, first time viewer, great webcast. This is the first time I've heard of the Big Shave West. Well, Les, do I have a documentary for you? And I'm going to type it over here. I want you to click on this and watch it after this show. But it's called The Heart of Shaving. And this is, I'm using 2 fingers to type this. But The Heart of Shaving, this is the documentary put together by Matt Pisarcik and Marissa Meal over at Razor Emporium last year. This is almost the whole event.
Yeah.
It definitely gives you a great idea of what to expect. But yeah, it's the biggest. And, it was never our intention to be the biggest meetup in the country. It just kind of happened. Everyone came together and made this thing happen. And I think it's the biggest. I mean, there was the Great Shave, which was probably, 3 years before that, Mark? 5 years ago now, maybe.
Oh, the Mertz. Yeah, about 5 years ago. I think it was about 200 people.
Yeah, 200 people. So so that was the biggest for a while. And that was a little different setup too. So this is a whole different animal. And I think we're going to see more of these in the next couple of years, just popping up all over the country. And I hope we can inspire or at least encourage people to do that. Because it's like a travel destination for shavers, all these events, So it's interesting to see where it goes. So yeah, check out that documentary. And who we got else?
I'd like to add something. I have joked to people before that one of the reasons I got into wet shaving was because I wanted trying to find a cheaper way of doing it. Yeah, and of course I've been ribbed a little bit by people saying, well, that's a good motive, but but you don't make the cheapest razor.
Yeah, I saw that comment.
That worked out real well, didn't it? Yeah.
Someone commented on YouTube about that, and I was like,
people drum, back in the background there.
Yeah.
But and that's a valid. It's an interesting point. But both things are still true. I was looking for a method that's less expensive, and you can go to a flea market or an antique shop or something. You might find you a nice super speed for $5 and clean it up, and so you can absolutely do this in a very inexpensive way.
Yeah.
Right.
But the other side of that coin is once you actually start creating something, you have to decide what that market point you are looking for, what niche that is.
Right.
And so as it turned out, the way I wanted to make the product, it was going to be a higher end product. There's some other business thoughts that came into that, but that's how that ended up. So I guess I wanted to point out there's some rationale both ways. That's a good point. It's pretty amusing, and so I brought some. I thought it was kind of underscores that a little bit, because at the time I'll show you here in a moment. But at the time this object was made, it was very like safety razors kind of is taken for granted, just one of those things that most everybody had, and especially guys, and you didn't get a whole lot of thought about it. And so I found this not so long ago. It's my wife, Linnea's grandfather's pocket knife. And if I can, if you can see it good, it's cleaned up very nicely. It's dates to 1940s. It's a case head's the name of it. It's bone handled, and and cleaned it up. And it is a beautiful.
It is beautiful. Yeah.
And so once again, it's kind of a throwback to a relatively common item. That today, we look upon as being, pretty top shelf. It's pretty nice stuff. It's nickel plated. The ends of it. The bone is hand worked. You had high quality blades, and so again, that was part of my inspiration. I wanted something that years down the road people would look at, and it would still be usable, still be extremely functional, and you can pass it along. And and again, it gets back into that made in America thing, and I don't apologize for that. That's just the way I like to do it. But I thought that knife was kind of another indication, kind of another reminder of why we make it the way we make it, and
right,
so.
Heirloom quality. I mean, your razors will last generations and generations and generations. So you get what you pay for at the end of the day. And at the end of the day, it probably is the cheapest razor if you think about it that way. I bought this for my grandson. My grandson's grandson. Oh, you have children? No, not yet. I like to plan ahead. Okay, what else we got? Any other questions down there, Scott? For some reason, it's getting wonky.
There was one that was, are the top caps the same in the base plate? And the base plate is what changes, and I typed in an answer for that.
Oh, okay.
But as far as I can tell, I think we're pretty good.
I'm going to get rid of some of these questions. Guys, keep those questions coming. We only have a few minutes left.
While we're at a kind of a pause here, I do have a question for Stan. Do you have any plans on making, like, for example, brush handles in the same designs and the same style as razor handles? A Kronos brush, a Atlas brush,
bamboo brush.
Bamboo brush.
It's strange. You should ask that. Actually, I've had that conversation a number of times, and part of the thought process is how to for example, make a handle out of stainless, that's not going to weigh 10 pounds. You know? And I think we've got that worked out. It would basically, well, you have to take a piece of material and basically machine most of the core out to reduce the weight. You'd still have to start as a solid piece. You'd core out the part to reduce the weight, but you'd have it solid on the end so it can be machined down so it would accept, the knot.
Right.
And of course, in the outside could be patterned, after the the razors. And so part of the thinking is, well, do I want to try to make a handle for each pattern, or do I use maybe come up with a style that incorporates different, maybe all three patterns or something?
Yeah, that's interesting.
That's the thing you got to kind of roll around your head, because there's the artistic side. That'd be great. We have line them up, they're all going to match. That'd be great. But then there comes the the kind of business side of it, and it is, well, how expensive is it to make them?
Yeah.
What is your inventory cost if you're going to have every handle or every razor handle has a knot handle? Is there enough people buying each individual piece to want? So it's kind of that sort of thing that comes into play.
Right.
Kind of nuts and bolts of stuff. We actually had played with an idea, and actually I saw that Megador had done this already. So congratulations on being able to take a knot out of a handle. Have a threaded piece to it. You interchange your knots. So I thought that was pretty clever. We had kind of thought about that ourselves, or somebody doing something. I'm talking to you. Yeah, you.
Oh, I was like, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, you've got one. And when I saw it last year in Pasadena, I thought, well, it can be done, because there it is. And I don't think we'll do anything like that, but it was very clever.
That one wasn't that bad. One of the prototypes I was kind of referring to earlier about spending a lot of money on just getting done a prototype and not really being able to do anything with it was an adjustable brush, where you could almost like a deodorant tube, so the knot would come down. It's like a pseudo travel brush as well, but you can control the backbone this way. And I've had this done out of aluminum. A lot of moving pieces on the inside. So, there we go. Who did that, Mark?
That was Shave Mac.
Shave Mac. Okay.
They call it the VLB, the variable loft brush.
Yeah.
And
I didn't hear about this until after the fact.
And he no longer makes them, but I was able to score one of the few when they were being made, and it's a really nice brush, but of course it no longer made.
I hadn't heard about them until after I talked about this on the show one time. Someone gave me a link and was like, "Oh, okay, it does exist." But the thing is, I mean, it would cost so much for me to produce and so much to sell. And then do I sell it with the knot, without the knot? Let them put the knot in themselves.
I believe that one was $300 5 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, and I don't know what the insides of that one looks like. Mine are all aluminum, metal pieces. So it's like, but yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. And I had a couple different versions too, but settled on that one. Okay, a little different. Okay, yeah. Okay, so the mechanism is a little slightly different. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's just a prototype sitting on my shelf. There's nothing I can't afford to do it, and no one can afford to buy it. So it was nice, but I should have just left it on paper and then pay X amount of dollars for it. But
that's like I run into with the brush idea of the stainless handles that Mark was talking about. It's going to end up being kind of an expensive brush.
Yeah,
right.
And
and you'll always get that one guy that'll email you saying, like, I would buy this from you. You would, but you're only one guy.
Exactly. Versus you have 1,000. Yeah.
How big's your family?
That's part of that's part of the problem. And that's the thing you always challenge every time you do something. Like when we came up with the SE1, it's like it's more than 5 people going to buy this. And so sometimes you get to the point you just roll the dice, make it, and throw it out there.
Yep.
But brushes tend to be going down in price, it seems like, and it seems like there's more of a
oversaturated
synthetic ones, and that's bringing the prices down too. And so it's just like, well, is that really a direction we need to go in?
Yeah,
right.
I would say
no.
no.
One idea. This is really early, extremely early, and I'd kind of debate whether I should even throw it out there. But I guess
hold on, got to get my pen ready.
One of the things we've been kind of playing around with is a way of producing a razor that would use the standard or the old gym style single edge blades.
Oh yeah.
And my first the first stab at that was everybody knows that those blades have a hole in the middle of them.
Right.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, that looks like a great place for a post to go, a threaded. But the size is not that big, so we kind of played around and took a piece of all thread and actually cut the sides off of it, so it actually looks square, and then the edges of it is where the threading is, and that reduces the size.
Oh.
And so it actually, it would go through the blade. It was at that point it was working, but the hurdle we encountered was when you try to put the handle on it, it's really easy for it to cross thread.
Right.
So that's kind of a roadblock. So I thought we was going to have a breakthrough, and we could just basically make a simple 3-piece design, boom bang, it all goes together. And but it's a little bit more complicated than that.
Yeah, if you have to machine that much of the thread off, where you've only got if it's round before and you've only got that much of the of the actual post left. Yeah. You don't have a whole.
We were looking into that also. I wanted to put out, if I was going to put out a single edge, it was going to be one that people could use 50 different blades as opposed to only the feather blade, so I wanted to do that to give people an option, and I ran into a similar problem. I was actually thinking about doing an adjustable, and but again, it goes back to the blades. It's a different blade. It's tough. I'm still working on it, but I don't know if we're going to get there yet. There's just so much going on, it's like it's one idea out of many. It's like, where do you put your time and energy, and and how passionate are you about each one, so it's really, it's tough. But we are getting to the end of the show, folks. It is actually, we're 5 minutes past the hour now. But we have one more question for you, Stan, from Alec Goner. And he's asking, do you have any plans on making a 2-piece razor?
No.
And that's it.